I'm here at Alumni Fieldhouse with new Elon head football coach Rich Skrosky as he sits down with Elon Local News for an exclusive interview. Now, Coach Skrosky was previously at Ball State for the last 3 years, where he served as offensive coordinator. He has spent time at Elon before, from 2006 to 2010, where he helped on the offensive side of the ball. He was offensive coordinator, offensive line coach. Now he's back at Elon for head coaching position. Coach, welcome back to Elon, and congrats on the head coaching position.
Well, thanks, Rajat. It's really been I've been here about 4 weeks now, and been working hard at it. But I can't tell you how excited I am to have this opportunity. It's been awesome.
And now you and your family have been here, like you said, for 4 weeks. How much has Elon changed since you were here last in 2010 to where it is right now?
Well, first thing, my family's not here yet, so
okay.
Living in some temporary housing. Can't wait for my wife to get in town. But from the time I got here in 2006, I've said this professionally as I've traveled around the country, that President Lambert and his vision for this university has been one that just incomparable. The vision that he's had for the future, and just in the 3 short years I've been away, the new apartments over there, what we used to call the firehouse fields, and what downtown looks like, and the businesses with the bookstore down there, and then obviously this global project that's here by the pond. So again, it just continuously is growing. Growing in reputation, growing in beauty. The faculty is continued to grow. So it's just such a great place, and I know the football program, there's no reason why it can't be an integral part of the success that the university has had as a whole. So really looking forward to that challenge and getting the football program back to where it certainly deserves to be.
How much time have you had in the little time you've been here to actually meet with the players and talk to them about what your ideas are?
Well, Rajat, I got hired, we were on the winter break, and so it was kind of a good timing, because it gave us a chance to, one, I was able to hire staff and kind of get guys on board without being pulled away a little bit by the players. And the players got here last weekend. We did have our first team meeting that Monday night prior to the winter session classes beginning on Tuesday. And that was a great meeting. I think there was a connection between myself and the team, and the staff and the team, and what staff is here. And then it's interesting you say that. I just wrapped up today, so I've spent the last 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, going from about early in the morning and just concluding here at about 7 o'clock this evening, of meeting with each player individually. And that's been a real great insight for me. And it's part of it was to get to know them as best I can. I really, asked them about their families and what high schools they were from. I wanted to know why they were at Elon. I wanted to hear about their recruiting process, and there's so many different stories as you hear the reasons and the stories that led them to Elon. And then we've talked about the program some. We've talked about what they see as the positives in the program. We've also addressed what they see as the problems with the program. So it's given me good perspective, I think, on where the program is. Most of the information I'm going to keep, to ourselves, and those are private interviews. But, the insight was definitely, it was interesting. And I think I learned a lot in these past 3 days about the makeup of our team. They're working hard right now with Coach Perlak in the weight room, and we're looking forward to getting them back for the spring semester as we get ready for spring practice here coming up late March, early April.
Is there any particular message you wanted to send them? Obviously, coaching changes are not easy for the coaching staff, for you, and for the players. Is there any first impression you wanted to give to the players about what kind of coach you're going to be for them?
Yeah, Rajat, I think it's pretty simple. We had a pretty long meeting. It's probably going to be the longest team meeting that we had that took place last week. But really the message is pretty simple. I think it's this. I think first and foremost it is give them a set of what is expected of them. And that took a while, because that's really your policies. The policies from everything from where we're going to dine in the morning, where they're going to be checked in, to what time weightlifting is going to be, what their class appearance is going to be, to when meetings are going to be, when study hall is going to be. So there's got to be a certain level of expectation. I think that's easy as long as they know what that level of expectation is. And I think that's critical in any organization you're a part of, whether you're in the business field, whether you're in education, or in our case, a football program. So it's set that level of expectation, make sure there's no question in their mind what is expected. So that was kind of the first meeting, and the message is this: here's what is expected. The bar is high. The expectation level is high. Not impossible. We're not going to ask guys to do things that I told a lot of them. Hey, I don't need an S on your chest. I don't need any superheroes. What I need, though, is guys that come to work every day. They do what's asked of them. They pay attention to instruction, and they put forth a great effort to accomplish that goal for the day. We're not talking about what's going to happen in the summer, what's going to happen in preseason camp, what's going to happen when we go to Duke. What we're talking about is getting better today, and then when we come back tomorrow, make tomorrow a better day than this morning. So that's really the message. Come to work every day, pay attention to instruction, and do it with great effort. If we could do those things and do it consistently, we'll start getting this thing going in the right direction.
Now, you were at Elon from 2006 to 2010. Did you ever envision yourself coming back and being the head football coach of the Phoenix?
Rajat, I can't say I had. I might be a little different as a coach. I think there's so many coaches in the profession, right, wrong, or indifferent, that they really are locked into goals. They have short-term goals and long-term goals. And, I'm going to be a head coach at the age of fill in the blank. I'm going to be a coordinator. I'm going to be at this level, that level. For me, it's always been about, similar to the players. I've been doing this almost 30 years now, and I've always said to myself, from the time I got into it, I just want to keep becoming a better coach every day, every year. And that's really what my goals were, and I worked really hard at it. I've learned from a lot of good people over the years. I've learned things that I believe in, and then I've learned things what maybe not to do as well in these 30 years. And, I think it's just really fortunate that this opportunity came about. Where I was in my career at this time, I think it's a tremendous opportunity for myself and Suzanne, my wife, and I'm really looking forward to the challenge here at Elon. I think we could do some special things.
And your last head coach here, your last head coaching job was at your alma mater, for Mapo. Are there any challenges you foresee becoming a head coach at the Division I level? Just basic challenges from that transition, different level of game?
I'll say this. I think I'm very prepared for this job. I think certainly, and you refer to the difference in level. I don't know if that's a big difference. I know this. Back when I was the head coach of Ramapo, when I think I was 27 years old, I thought I knew. I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready, and I learned a lot of lessons from that. But the biggest lesson I learned was this: I need to be myself. We all have coaching idols. We all have coaches that we look up to. We all have coaches that we've worked for in the past that you want to emulate. But at the end of the day, you have to have your own set of values, your own personality, and I'm going to be true to myself, and I feel very prepared to take on this task.
Now, Elon finished 2-10 overall last year, 1-7 in the Southern Conference. What needs to be done to turn that around?
Well, it's going to start with this. I think first and foremost, I think there has to be a structured environment created, and we refer to this first team meeting that took place, just a short week ago. I think structure in an athlete's life is critical, and I think you have to create a daily structure, and that means they know. And it's funny. I gave them kind of a calendar, a daily calendar from that day, Monday, that takes them really all the way through to the summertime. And I already have it done for the season. I know what time we're going to meet. I know when our camp practices are. I know when we're going to have alumni functions. I know when we're going to have golf outings. And it was funny, when I gave them this calendar through the spring semester, they were appreciative. They were very appreciative. They were like, Coach, this is good. We have a plan. We have a calendar. They know when their vacation is. They know when their time off is. They know when they're going to be working. So it's just like any other organization. You set a calendar, you set a plan, and I think they were appreciative. So I think creating that structure, I think, is a vital component. And maybe it's something that maybe hadn't been, stressed upon in the recent past. And then create competitive environment. I think everything they do, they're going to be challenged to do their best. And for some guys, getting a 3.8 in the classroom, that's their best, but that's what I expect. For other guys, it might be getting a 2.6 in the classroom. But if that's a 2.6, I don't want a 2.4. I want a 2.6. So we want to create that competitiveness in every walk of their lives, you know, from how they deal with you guys in the media to how they deal in the classroom, as well as what they do on the field. And like I said, the bar is high, and we're not going to accept anything less than what their best effort might be.
And you spent the last 3 seasons at Ball State.
Yeah.
How much did you keep up with Elon? You had been at Elon before that while you were at Ball State.
A lot. I say a lot. I followed it to the extent of I knew what was going to happen, and I'll be honest with you. In this meeting that we had, and I got a little, probably got a little bit more emotional than I thought I might. You know, I had my list of bullets that I was going to hit upon. To see what's happened in the last 3 years really hurt. You know, we're sitting in this building today, and obviously this building wasn't here when we were here previous, and you know, the generosity of, as I look at the portrait of, you know, Zach Walker behind us, and as I walk in every morning and the Hendrickson's name is printed there. So the generosity of those people have made this facility possible. But I'm going to say this, the players that have played before the current players is the reason this building's standing. And I have a great relationship with a lot of those players from 2006 and 2010. And to see what took place in the last 3 years and kind of lose that, you know, we spent 40 weeks in the top 25, 40 consecutive weeks. That's pretty doggone good. And to see what's taken place in the last 3 years, it's personal. It upset me. And I'm going to do everything I can to get us back to that stature.
Now, offensively, you've had a lot of success wherever you've been. In 2009, when you were at Elon, Elon led the Southern Conference in passing, 6th in the country in passing.
Yep.
Ball State, you were very successful with your offense. What's it going to take to get this offense to do what your offenses have done in the past?
Well, and I don't hesitate to say this. The quarterback is the catalyst. And if you look at, and I'll even go all the way back to Columbia when I served there. You know, we had a kid by the name of Jeff Otis at Columbia that I think still is amongst the top in the record books, and that's football that's been played for over 125 years. And then you look back at her time here at Elon and the great career that Scott Riddle had. Holds probably just about every Elon record, and then Southern Conference record, and then some national records even. And then I was so fortunate the last 3 years to be around a kid by the name of Keith Wenning. And Keith is, you know, preparing himself for you know, his future in the NFL now, and he's been invited to the Combine. So I don't have any I don't hesitate for a second to say the key is the quarterback, and the bar for the quarterback is going to be high. I think we have a pretty good formula to coach the quarterback. Their level of play, though, has been you know, you just look at it. Their level of play has certainly coincided with the success we've had on offense. So that's where it's going to begin. But then it's the execution of the offense. I think we get so caught up in names and styles of offense and plays, and we're a spread, and we're whatever they call that, fun and gun offense. I mean, to me, it's all about the execution. And we think we have a pretty good teaching methodology for both the coaches and the players, and we're going to put that teaching methodology to use, you know, starting this winter. It's going to take time. It's going to take time for them to absorb the terminology, absorb the tempo of which we're going to play at, but I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to get there.
The last season, Elon struggled in many statistics, but in special teams, they ranked 2nd in punting, punt return, kickoff coverage. How much do you stress special teams when you coach your team?
It's a huge part, and we'll take a lot of pride in it. I think you always need to find an edge, and I think so often that edge comes in the special teams way. You know, you call it hidden yardage. There's hidden yardage in a football game, but for instance, you said the punt game. I know we have a pretty talented punter here. He had a very good year last year. He's a young kid as well. You know, that's the only play I know where you got a chance to turn the field 40 yards. You think about it, there's no other play in football that does that. So I think the emphasis on special teams will be strong. I know we've had a pretty good special team. Our place kicker did a nice job. I think he ended the season, I think, making 12 of 15 kicks. So I think we have some specialists in place, and that's good to have. You know, we have some youth at those positions. And, you know, special teams we hope can be the difference in a couple games.
And offensively, Elon had a lot of good passing statistics, but couldn't get the ball in the end zone. You're usually very high on passing. How are you going to mix up? What can Phoenix fans expect from Elon's offense? Passing, running, what can they expect?
It truly is an offense that I know we've gotten a lot of credibility throwing the football, and that's gone for a lot of years, like we just talked about. But really, it's an offense that is going to take advantage of what the defense presents to themselves. So I would never sit, and I never have sat here and said, well, we're going to be 50-50, 60-40, 40-60. If throwing the ball is the best avenue to win the football game, we will be able to throw the football. And if running the ball is the best way to win the football game, we'll be able to run the football. It's we call it a fully dimensional offense, in that I look at offensive football as the game is a bunch of situations. It's not a game of just 75 plays or 80 offensive plays. It's 75 plays, but there's so many situations that take place within those 75 plays. And the key to our offense is making sure that it's dimensional enough to be able to be successful in every one of those situations, such as the clock. Sometimes you got to play fast in a 2-minute drive. Sometimes you got to play slow in a 4-minute drive. Obviously, if the ball's on the 8-yard line compared to the 50-yard line, you have to have offensive weapons and plays and thoughts and philosophies that take that into consideration. So we like to use that term fully dimensional so that we can address every situation that might come up over the course of a season and certainly within the course of a game.
To the other side of the ball, defensively, Elon had some problems last year. Last in the conference in passing defense, second to last in rushing defense. What can the defense do to improve? What can we expect on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, Rajat, I think there's just some sound principles, and I think that's what you have to start with. So when you evaluate the tape, and whether you're playing a 4-down scheme, a 3-down scheme, a 5-down scheme, play man coverage, play zone coverage, I think these principles have to hold up. And first and foremost, I think you have to be able to run to the football, and that's nothing but effort. That is nothing but effort. So I know Coach Peter Kusky, who's going to be our defensive coordinator, has a great history. He's been coaching almost 40 years, coached at several levels. Pursuing the football is a key component. Tackling will be focused on every day in spring practice and preseason practice. I think when you look at the offenses today and they try to put players in space and make you tackle in space, well, you better be able to run to it, because you can't just rely on one guy making the tackle, but you better be sound fundamentally in tackling. And then statistically create turnovers. And the only way I know how to create turnovers is keep your eye on the ball. So we'll probably predominantly be a zone coverage team. When I know this, when you're watching the football, you have a chance to either strip it or intercept it. So if you got a chance to do that, I think you have a chance to create turnovers. And it's funny when you watch interception cut-ups. You watch like all the interceptions that took place, and that'll be a cut-up we'll watch. We'll probably watch every interception from last year's every game, every side of the ball, just how they take place. And usually it's not somebody making an unbelievable play. It's usually just catch the ball that they throw you. And if you do that, turnovers are, as we know, at every level of play. The NFL, college level, high school, I would assume, turnovers are a key component in winning the football game. And we know if we can create some turnovers and be positive in the turnover ratio, you got a chance to win. So those principles, I think, no matter what we do schematically, they need to show up on our defense.
Now, in the last few seasons, Road Stadium, has really struggled to fill up. The students of the last few seasons have kind of lost interest in coming out to games. What does that mean to you, and what sort of things can you do to excite the fans and say, hey, come out and support us. We've got a good thing coming at you.
Yeah. Well, I think the outreach part, I've already reached out to so many alums, and I think that's one of the positives of coming back and having a familiarity. Our administration has been great of getting me some of the key alumni and contributors to the program and getting them reconnected to the program. So I think that's first and foremost. But with the students, I think, one, they want to see a winner, but I am. When we get back for spring semester, I'm going to make some trips over on campus. I want to get involved. Who's Peter, the fan guy? I've already met up with Peter, but just making sure that they know, hey, we're here for them, and we want to put a great product out on the field. Making sure they understand how hard our players work, because I think they'll appreciate that. And then, showing up in the dorm, showing up in the dining halls, and then making sure our players embrace the student population. I'll talk to the players about that every once in a while and say, hey, if each one of you can get 5 students to the game, well, you do the math. We got, 90 guys on the roster, multiply that by 5. All of a sudden, we got a crowd there. So I think it's just reaching out. I think that's a key component to it. And I'm going to be very visible in the campus and certainly in the Elon community and the Burlington community.
Now, the biggest change, obviously, coming into next season, moving to the CAA,
Yep.
the Colonial Athletic Conference. What kind of adjustments, what kind of changes does that do going into next season?
Well, I don't know. I think it's an exciting time. I think it's an exciting time for Elon and Elon Athletics. I think, again, President Lambert and Dave Blank, our athletic director, really researched, I think, the move with a great amount of detail. And they looked at it not even just from an athletic standpoint, but an Elon standpoint. I think I saw this outside of North Carolina, our number 1 alumni base is Washington, D.C. And Dave and President Lambert and so many of the other board of trustees, they looked at it and they said, well, here is where our guys are working. And you guys, let's say, for instance, chances are you're going to work up that 95, 85 corridor in your post, after you're done here at Elon. So, and as we know, so many of the CAA programs are in that area. So it is definitely I think it's an exciting time to be an alum of Elon and being able to go to places like a Towson and a Delaware and a Villanova, where so many of our alumni will be able to drive short distances to see us. But then we also know the challenges of the CAA, and it's a little bittersweet, because I'll be honest with you, I really enjoyed the 5 years here in the Southern Conference. I'll say this: I've been doing this almost 30 years, and I'm probably going to go quite a bit longer. The 2009 game at App State when it was snowing, Chris, you remember that? I don't know if I'll ever experience a game, and I'm talking about games I've been, I played at Penn State in bowl games, but that game was a great experience. So it's a little bittersweet, but the Southern Conference has moved on with App State and Georgia Southern leaving, and then the basketball schools, Charleston and Davidson, leaving. So I think Elon was proactive in their future. I think it's a great, exciting time, and we're looking forward to establishing new rivalries as we head into the CAA.
Now, embrace the grind.
Yep.
What does that mean, and where did it come from?
I don't know where it came from. I just said it. I really don't. I don't think it was one of those that I saw and stole. It certainly wasn't rehearsed. It is a phrase, though, that I've used over the last several years with the kids at Ball State, and I'm so appreciative of those guys because they taught it to me. I would come into work every day up there, and I saw guys every day, and not Saturdays. I'm talking about when nobody knows when you're working. The 6 o'clocks in the morning, the cold, it gets cold in Indiana now. The minus 2 degrees in January, and they're flipping tires out in the snow. And those guys taught me a lot about what it takes to be successful, just like the guys here in the past at Elon taught me a lot. So embrace the grind is really just what it means. We're going to come to work every day. You have to embrace the hard work. That's really what you're saying to them, because there's no substitute for it. It doesn't happen on Saturdays. It happens now. It happens in January, February, and March. Then we go into spring practice. Then it happens in June and July. And if you don't embrace that grind, it'll chew you up and spit you out. This is a hard game. It's a hard game to play. It's not for everybody. And I think the players got that message early on in that meeting. I think as I've met with them individually, they understand what embrace the grind is. And now we got to go do it. We can't talk about it. We can't talk about how much we want to win. We got to go to work every day. So that's really what embrace the grind is. Embrace the work that it's going to take to be successful come next fall.
Now over to recruiting. When you're recruiting from Elon, what is the main thing that you're trying to sell?
I think Elon sells itself. I really don't look at us recruiting as what are we trying to sell. I've been teased a little bit in that I've become kind of they call me the D recruiter. really when I go out, the thing that I will sell is truthfulness. When I look a parent in the eye and a prospect in the eye, really what I'm going to tell them is what they're getting into, what they're committing to when they commit, so that there's no question when they get here on campus, they're in for the greatest challenge of their life and for how hard it's going to be. But the rewards, they will pay them dividends beyond their belief, So, but again, I think it's developed them as men, to be able to take a 17 or 18-year-old guy and, structure him over the next 4 or 5 years so that when they leave here, not only have they had a great athletic experience, but they're ready to go out into the world and really be great products of society. So I don't look at recruiting as a sell. I think Elon, with the campus we have, the academic reputation we have, our facilities are second to none in the country. So I really believe if there's a potential, a prospect out there, and they're looking to play at a high level, play in maybe the best conference in the country at the FCS level, and get a combination of great academic reputation and a great degree, this is a place not should you look at. You'd be crazy not to look at Elon. So I think it's going to take care of itself in that regard, and I think my job is to educate them to what they're getting into when they sign up to play Division I football.
Does it make it a little bit harder that the program has been down the last couple of years? What do you say to recruits to say, I'm getting this in the right track? Because when they're looking at Elon, they've got to look at the last couple of years, and it hasn't been too good for the Phoenix football team.
They have to take a plunge. There's no question about it. And they could look at it twofold. They could look at that and say, okay, Elon's been down, and I don't know if I want to sign up. Or they could look at it and say, it had quite a bit of success not a very long time ago. They come on this campus, they see our facilities, they see the campus, they see what President Lambert's done on this campus. So they got to be able to see it and say, hey, there's something good about this place. And then they need to take the plunge. They need to have the courage to come on this campus and say, we're going to get this done. So I think it's going to take a guy with a tremendous amount of confidence, tremendous amount of self-esteem, a tremendous amount of grit to come here and say, we'll get it back to that 40 consecutive weeks in the top 25. So it's going to take a special kid, but I think we've been talking to quite a few special guys here in the last few weeks.
Now, there's still some people on the Elon roster that you had from the 2006 season and before that. How's that relationship been, coming and seeing these guys again, spending all this time again? You had already formed that relationship back then. Yeah,
it's been interesting because not very often do you get a chance to do that. Be at a place, leave it, and then come back and find that you still know some of the players on the roster. So they were obviously, it's the 50-year guys, and then there's a couple of kids that were recruited when we left that I never got to coach. But in the recruiting process, we got to know. So it's been nice. It's been good to kind of catch back up with, an Austin Sowell and a Mike Quinn and a Jonathan Spain and a Akeem Langham. Those guys have given me great perspective, because they saw the good. They saw when this thing was what it was. And that was before any of this great facility was built, and some of these things that have changed on campus have changed. And then they've also seen what's taken place here in the last 3 years. So I think getting perspective from those players that have seen both ways, they've seen that previous staff, so they kind of have an idea what it's going to go back to. It's given me great perspective. But in terms of where they're at athletically, that I'd still say they're starting from zero, just like every other player on a roster, because, unless you have day-to-day contact and day-to-day interaction with an athlete, you really have no idea where they're at mentally, where they're at physically, where they're at in terms of focus, being able to focus on the game. So that's yet to be seen where those guys are physically. I know a handful of them have had, a pretty good run here in the last few years, and we'll see where they go once spring practice starts here in late March, early April.
Now, social media has become a huge thing now, especially in sports. A lot of players have social media accounts, interact with fans.
Yeah.
How can you use social media to your advantage, and what kind of worries does it also present to you?
How can we use it to our advantage? It certainly is the way to communicate in today's day and age. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not the most savvy social media guy, but we'll we'll use it. We'll use it in the recruiting process. We'll use it just to stay in touch with our kids, and our staff will be very engaged to what they're seeing out there. And, my worries are, I think it's just the society we live in. And you say at the college level, but we see it every day. We see it in the NFL. We see it in the NBA that, sometimes athletes make decisions to press send and probably shouldn't press send. But we know this, once you press send, that's part of you. And it goes out there to the world to see. So we'll educate them on that part of it where you're referring to what problems do I see. I hope it doesn't become a problem, because if it does, then we'll address it just like any other problem in the program. But I want them to use it for what we all use it for. What a great way to communicate. Who would have ever thought 20 years ago every bit of news I get on this little twerp that comes out of my phone or my computer, So we'll use it. We'll use it to, just like the rest of the world is using it. Because if you don't keep up, you're going to be left behind. So I'm anxious to see how, our staff uses it, or our marketing staff. We'll use it. We've been using it in the recruiting process. It's made that process so much easier than what it was just a short 5 years ago. So I'm not too concerned about it, though. I think our guys are mature enough to deal with it in a mature way.
Now, you were at the basketball game in Alumni Gym the other night supporting the Phoenix. How important is it to you to have camaraderie between other Elon athletic teams and supporting them, having your guys go support them, they'll come and support Elon, and how is that important to you?
I think it's one of the great things about Elon. I think when I was here previously and then being here for the last month or so, Elon as a community, it is such a warm place. It doesn't happen everywhere, and I know you guys are students here, and this is what you know. Let me tell you, this is a unique place. There's so many schools in the country where you have agendas throughout the campus, and there might be an athletic agenda, there might be an academic agenda, there might be a money agenda, there might be an agenda within departments, and I never have seen Elon like that. So Elon, I think, creates that feeling of community. I'm going to be as supportive of all our athletic programs as possible. Obviously Matt is someone I know. He was here previously, and I know the expectation of the basketball team is high. It was good to see them get the win in the home game here against Citadel. I know we got a big challenge with UMass coming up this weekend, but I want to see that arena rocking, because I know when that place rocks, our stadium will rock. The better they do, the better we will do, and the better everyone does. So, and I'm going to encourage the players to do that as well. We can't live in our own little bubble. We can't sit there and say, well, we don't have fans. We have to support the other teams as well. And, it's not just men's basketball, but it's women's basketball and the spring sports and baseball and softball and all the way throughout the season. And some of our sports have done so well. You look at our soccer program, what a fantastic year, and going all the way out to California. And, Daryl just does such a great job with this program. So, we know it can be done, but I'll be a great supporter of all our athletic teams.
Now you've assembled your coaching staff for next year. What sort of things were you looking at when you were looking to assemble the coaching staff?
Well, first and foremost, and I'm so pleased. There's still a couple positions that are yet to be released or announced, but my first goal, and I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to hire. Everybody I've hired, I have a personal relationship with, and you can't always do that because you don't necessarily, you might not be in a position to have the budget, and Dave Blank has been really generous with making sure that we have the resources to go out and hire first-class staff. So first and foremost, it was guys that I truly knew. Several of them I've worked with in the past in one capacity or another. It's a big diversity in range, from Jerry Peter Kusky, who we mentioned earlier. Jerry's been coaching for going on 40 years, great experience, to, a couple younger graduate assistants that were with me just recently at Ball State. So first and foremost is my familiarity with those guys, because you need that. You need to be able to have a relationship with the staff, and they need a relationship with me to be able to speak up, to be able to throw out ideas and not feel I don't want a bunch of yes people. And I think sometimes if you don't have a comfort level with your staff, sometimes it's hard for them to maybe make a suggestion because they're not sure how it's going to be felt. Well, these guys know me. They know what kind of person I am, and we're going to be receptive. You know, no one person is less important than another, just like on our team. You know, whether you're the scout team 3 technique or the starting quarterback, you're important, and your role on this team is important. Well, the staff is going to be the same way. So that familiarity with the staff is gigantic, and that trust level is going to be there for sure. They're all guys I genuinely like. I'm going to like seeing on a daily basis, and because you spend a lot of time together, and this is a hard enough job the way it is. It doesn't need to be made harder if you have different agendas in that staff room. So I feel great about the staff that we've been able to assemble. Like I said, there's still a couple that we can't release at this time, but the guys that we have released I feel really good about.
And you're yet to fill the offensive coordinator position.
Correct.
But what are you looking for in that you've always been very successful on the offensive side of the ball wherever you've been? What kind of guy are you looking for to run an offense and hopefully put a lot of points on the board?
Well, it's as I said. I think first and foremost is a familiarity, and then second is a guy that have the same beliefs. So this belief in how we play, we use the term identification and communication a lot. So it's going to be someone that's very familiar with my beliefs, my philosophy, so that you don't have to instill that in them. It's not like you're going to hire, I can tell you this, and we're not going to hire a wishbone guy and try to instill them, this is how we play. So it'll be a guy that certainly is familiar with our offensive system, probably guys that have been kind of in our offensive system in one way, shape, or another, as we move forward and hire the offense coordinator.
And just to finish, Coach, what can the community do and fans do? What would you hope they can do to help best support the program?
Well, certainly come out and support us. But I think more than anything, it's our job. It is our job to reach out to the community and make sure they know what is happening within our program. Because I think that is as critical. And I've had several meetings with Coach Tolley already, and all the success he had here back in the NAIA days. And how about this? And I didn't get a chance to talk to him, but Red Wilson. Red Wilson left a long message. I don't know, this is going back a ways, but Coach Wilson had a great amount of success here and then on at Duke later on. So it's really the connectivity with the community. And we have to make sure that we're putting our product out to them. It's not just going to happen by accident. It's not going to happen by mistake. They're not just going to show up. I don't know that build it and they will come. I don't know if I believe in that. It's a great line in a movie, but I don't know if I believe in it. So I think it really is reaching out to the community, asking for their support, and then getting them around our program and around our players. And when they're around it, they're going to see how great a program this is and what kind of players are representing our institution. And it's the same for the students. We got great kids in this program, and when you get the community involved in those players, we're going to get them working here in the summertime in the community. That just, it makes them feel a part of this thing, and that's what I want. I want an inclusive product, not an exclusive product. And what I mean is this is everybody's program. I just happen to be the head coach of it. We want those people involved in the program, and we're going to make sure they feel like they're involved. And
Coach, can you quickly just go through and hit on the coaches that you have hired? Can you just start offensively with Chris Razor with the tight ends? What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, I'll talk about Chris. Chris most recently was a graduate assistant for us at Ball State. So I've worked with Chris. His attention to detail is unbelievable. And Chris, unique. He was a full-time coach and then kind of took what a lot of people would have said a step back and becoming a grad assistant. Just did a great job for us at Ball State. Kind of worked with our offensive line, so he's familiar with the run techniques. And then he's a former quarterback. How about this for Chris Reiser? He threw for over 13,000 yards as a college quarterback at Old Dominion, or Ohio Dominican. So Chris will be a great addition to the staff. And then staying on offense, Billy Reebok. Billy's been with me for 2 years at Ball State. He's going to coach our wide receivers. Billy's similar to Chris. He had a full-time position at his alma mater, and then took a chance and came back and was a grad assistant for us. Billy just has an unbelievable amount of energy and optimism. I mean, you talk about glass half full guy every day. Every day it's a great day. And then also on offense, Scott Manziel. Scott, like I said earlier, I recruited Scott out of high school. I've known his dad for probably 30 years. He's a longtime New Jersey high school coach. And then I was able to hire Scott at Monmouth University as the offense. I was the offense coordinator, and Scott hired him to an entry-level position. And he's been at Monmouth ever since, and in the last 6 years is their offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. So I feel so fortunate. I always said if I ever got an opportunity to hire a guy, Scott would probably be one of the first I'd call. And so fortunate that he's decided, because he was in a pretty good position, but he and his wife Kelly, they've decided to join us down here at Elon. I know he's going to have a great impact on the program. On the defensive side of the ball, Jerry Peterkuski. I've known Jerry. I was a young grad assistant, and Jerry was our defensive line coach at Rutgers. And I can remember to this day just thinking what a great teacher Jerry is. And since then, Jerry and I have stayed in touch. He's worked at so many different places, different backgrounds. Most recently, NC State. He's been at Boston College. He's been at UVA. Was a defense coordinator at Virginia, so he has that, knows, FCS level football at a high level. Then, like I said, he was at Rutgers and was a grad assistant at Penn State. Jerry's dad is a legendary coach in the state of Pennsylvania, went on to coach in the NFL afterwards, and really Jerry and his family are old friends, And then also on defense, Terry Lance. When we were here previously, we used to play Wofford every year in the Southern Conference, and I always said Wofford played the best zone defense that I saw in those 5 years. And Terry Lance was their secondary coach. So Terry was at Wofford for a long time, then was with us at Ball State as a secondary coach. So he'll do our secondary. And then I go back with Carlton Hall, going all the way back to, I guess it was 2003. Carlton was a great player at Vanderbilt, was an all-SEC player. We worked together at Columbia for 3 years. And then he went on to places like Georgetown and Harvard, some of our great academic institutions in the country. Did a stint at Houston, University of Houston, so he obviously coached at a high level, and then most recently at West Alabama. So he's recruited in the Southeast, and that's going to be a pivotal piece for him, recruiting down here in the Southeast, and then he'll coach our defensive line. So that's who we have on board right now. And then Scott Brown has been on staff here since 2007, as close a friend as I have. Him and his wife Becky have been awesome for us over the years. So Scott's going to go back in his role that he was previous when we were here in 2010. He'll be our running back coach and do our recruiting, which is a huge endeavor. And I'm so pleased that he's decided to stay on with us. And then Jonathan Small, our director of operations. And Jonathan, I'll tell you, in this very short period of time, really has stepped up, because that position in a transition time, he gets everything thrown at him, and Jonathan's really handled it well, and he's made this transition as seamless as it could possibly be. So I'm grateful for him, and then like I said, we'll have a couple more announcements here going on shortly.
And just the other people on the staff, Mr. Dave Blank,
yeah.
Mr. President Lambert, Mr. Chris Rash, can you talk about how they've been so nice helping you out and getting adjusted, being back here at Elon?
Yeah, and it goes all the way back to the initial contact of the job. So again, I do want to again publicly thank President Lambert and Dave Blank for giving me this opportunity. And Dave has really been fantastic in really giving us the resources. I just think back to when we took over this thing in 2006 and where it is today in 2014. Boy, it's come a long way, and that's really through Dave's leadership here as the athletic director, and then obviously through President Lambert, and just the vision and the mentality that he's had as a whole for Elon University, but particularly his support of Elon athletics, because you don't always get that from a university president. So I know I have their support. And again, I'm grateful for all they've done here in the last month or so.
And now, can you talk about your family? They haven't missed many games of yours in a long time. Can you just talk about how they support you?
Well,
tough job that you have.
Yeah, we don't have children. It's just my wife and I, Suzanne, and she's my #1 fan and certainly my best friend. And this is true. Now, she has not missed a game, home or away, in 21 years. So it goes back. She's got a pretty good streak going. She's still back in Indiana getting things cleaned up, and then she's going to join us here in mid-February. And the one thing I can guarantee, she'll be at all the games. So, you know, she'll have to ride on some buses along the way, but it'll be good for her. But she's just been an unbelievable support mechanism for me, and she's made a lot of sacrifices here over our many years of marriage, and really the support she's given me to allow me to really try to achieve a goal in coaching. She's really been supportive, so I thank her more than anyone.
Coach Skrosky, thank you so much for sitting down with us.
Okay.
Welcome back to Elon, and we wish you the best of luck next season.
All right, looking forward to getting this thing cranked up and working with all of you guys here as we move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.